What if the biggest thing slowing down your business isn't your marketing, not your website, not your social media, not your offer? What if it's the fact that you're trying to build your business alone? Today, we're talking about digital networking, strategic relationships, and why the right room may be one of the most valuable business assets a female founder can have. If you've left corporate leadership, started a business, and found yourself wondering why building visibility feels harder than expected, this episode is for you. Because after decades of leading teams, solving problems, making decisions, and building successful careers, many accomplished women discover something surprising. Entrepreneurship is not just about strategy, it's about relationships. And sometimes the thing standing between where you are and where you want to go isn't another marketing tactic. It's proximity, it's community, it's being in conversations with people who help you think differently. I'm Suzette Cotto, founder of Innovate Launch, and today I want to talk about why chosen rooms have become one of the most important parts of my own entrepreneurial journey. Let's dive in. One of the biggest lies many accomplished women believe when they leave corporate is this: I'll figure it out myself. I know because I believed it. As a woman born in 1962 with three younger brothers, independence came naturally to me. Leadership came naturally. Problem solving came naturally. In fact, I was scrolling LinkedIn the other day and I saw a quote from Reid Hoffman, the co founder of LinkedIn, and he said, "An entrepreneur is someone who will jump off a cliff and assemble an airplane on the way down." Now, I understand exactly what he means. Anyone who started a business has had at least one moment where they looked around and thought, well, this escalated quickly, but my immediate reaction was a little different. I thought, a female founder over 50? Let's see. She'll assemble the airplane, fly it to the nearest networking meeting, help 50 other women figure out how to build their airplanes too, create a community, share resources, solve a few business problems, start a movement, and then somehow land the plane safely before dinner. Because that's what I've seen women do my entire life, especially women who've spent decades leading, building, raising families, solving problems, navigating careers, and figuring things out when there wasn't a roadmap. We don't just build businesses, we build ecosystems. And honestly, that's part of what makes this stage of entrepreneurship so powerful. Those qualities served me extremely well throughout my career, but entrepreneurship taught me something I wasn't expecting. Even the strongest women still need the right people around them. When I first made my pivot, I genuinely believed success would come down to working harder, learning faster, and executing better. What I didn't understand was that entrepreneurship requires an entirely different support system. Corporate gives you built in infrastructure. You have meetings and teams and visibility and collaboration and credibility. But you may not always love those things, however, they exist. And then one day you leave and suddenly they're gone. Many women experience a strange transition after they leave corporate. One minute you're leading meetings, managing $1 million budgets, making decisions people respect, and the next minute you're sitting at your computer at 11:30 at night wondering why Canva suddenly changed your font size. Trust me, I've been there. And while that's funny to talk about, it highlights something deeper. Your expertise didn't disappear, and your leadership didn't disappear. Your accomplishments didn't disappear, but your visibility, that changed. Now you have to create it. And that's where many accomplished women struggle. What's fascinating is that many of the women struggling the most during this transition are often the women who were the most successful in corporate. They're used to being the expert, the decision maker, the person with the answers. Entrepreneurship quietly flips that script. Now you're building something where nobody knows your title, nobody knows your history, and nobody automatically understands the value you bring. And that's a very different challenge. And if you're not intentional about building visibility in relationships, it can feel like you're starting over, even when you're bringing decades of experience to the table. That's one of the reasons so many accomplished women begin questioning themselves during the pivot. Not because they've lost their edge, but because the scoreboard changed, the rules changed, and suddenly success depends on a different set of skills than the ones that got you here. Last year, I joined a women's entrepreneurial networking organization. And to be completely honest, I wasn't expecting much. I thought it would be another room where people exchanged business cards over lunch, introduced themselves, gave a 60-second elevator pitch, and then went home. We've all been to those events. But I joined anyway because I was tired of working alone. After more than 12 years running a business with a largely remote workforce, I realized something. Entrepreneurship can be incredibly lonely. Everything is email, text messages, social media. We don't even use the phone anymore. Slack messages, Zoom meetings. I mean, come on now. I call it I'm living in the bubble. And when I leave the bubble, my office, that's when I feel like I'm having some conversations. But while technology has made it possible to work from almost anywhere, it also made it easier to become isolated. And what surprised me was realizing how much I missed collaboration, not networking, collaboration. Real conversations, real brainstorming, real relationships with people who understood what it feels like to build something from scratch. What I didn't realize was how much I missed being in conversations where ideas were being challenged, refined, and improved in real time. And this organization approached networking differently. The focus wasn't, how can I sell you something? The focus was, how can we help each other win? And that was completely different. Nobody was trying to impress the room. Nobody was trying to dominate the conversation. These women were walking remarkably similar paths and building businesses, facing challenges, creating something meaningful, trying to figure out what came next. And for the first time in a long time, I felt understood. The organization offered a mastermind style membership called a Power Circle, small groups meeting every other week for 90 minutes. And I joined one. And honestly, it changed everything. We weren't talking about surface level business topics. We were discussing real challenges, the hard stuff, the things founders wrestle with behind the scenes. I received advice that helped me solve problems that I had been working through for months. But something else happened too. I realized I wasn't just receiving value, I was creating value. My experience could help someone else. My perspective could help someone else. And that's when I learned something important. The most valuable rooms aren't built around transactions, they're built around transformation. That experience eventually inspired part of what would become the Innovate Launch VIP community because I realized entrepreneurs don't just need information, they need people. People who understand the journey, people who understand the challenges, people who understand what it feels like to sit behind a laptop trying to figure everything out. But there was another lesson waiting for me. For most of my career, I've been the teacher, the trainer, the technology expert, the person standing at the front of the room, helping other people solve problems. Then I found myself stuck, really stuck. And for more than a year, I was deep in the weeds building funnels, automations, customer journeys, and scalable systems. I understood the technology, I understood the strategy, but I couldn't see the entire picture. Every answer created three new questions, totally. Every automation created another decision. Every process flow created another branch. If you've ever built a complex digital system, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I kept telling myself, hey, everything's figure outable, right? But honestly, it was hurting my brain. You guys, I was going to bed with just a horrible, not a headache, but just brain pain. And it was helping keeping me stuck. So then I was introduced to a programming expert named Diane. Diane had an entirely different way of thinking. She could see process flows several moves ahead. She asked questions I wasn't asking. She saw gaps I wasn't seeing. She challenged assumptions I didn't even realize I was making, and suddenly things started clicking. What had felt overwhelming became manageable. What had felt confusing became clear. What felt impossible became actionable. That relationship saved me months of frustration, maybe longer. And it taught me one of the most humbling lessons of my entire entrepreneurial journey. Sometimes the coach needs a coach. Sometimes the teacher needs a teacher. Sometimes the expert needs another expert. Not because they're incapable, but because someone else can see a path you can't see where you're standing. Diane didn't do the work for me. She just helped me see it differently. And that became a turning point, not only for me, but for the experiences my clients will ultimately have as we continue building systems that create a seamless journey for them. Both of those experiences taught me the same lesson. A framework creates direction, relationships create momentum, and you need both. After a lifetime of solving problems, our first instinct is usually to learn our way through a challenge. Find the framework, learn the process, build the plan, right? And honestly, that's not wrong. I believe deeply in frameworks. They help you avoid expensive mistakes. And that's exactly why I created the launch framework. It's your scalability, right? You can have the best roadmap in the world, but if you're building in isolation, second guessing every decision, and lacking access to people who can challenge your thinking or open new doors, progress can be slower than it needs to be. The most successful founders I've met don't choose between strategy and community, they combine both. They have a framework for where they're going and relationships that help them get there faster. I honestly believe this is the future of entrepreneurship, especially for female founders, especially for people working remotely, and especially for women building businesses after corporate. The old model was simple. You got up, you did your morning thing, you brushed your teeth, did your coffee, went to the gym, and then headed to work. You attended meetings, you collaborated in person, you built relationships naturally. Today, many founders work alone from home offices, coffee shops, spare bedrooms, and shared workspaces. And while technology gives us freedom, freedom without community can become isolation. And I think one of the greatest misconceptions about entrepreneurship is that success comes from becoming completely self sufficient. But after everything I've experienced, I don't believe that's true anymore. The women I admire most aren't building businesses alone. They're building them alongside other smart, capable women who challenge them, encourage them, and help them see what's possible. Maybe that's the real power move after 50. Not proving you can do everything yourself, choosing not to. Because when accomplished women come together with intention, something extraordinary happens. Ideas become businesses, and businesses become movements. And women who thought they were starting over realize they're actually just getting started. That's exactly why I created the Innovate Launch VIP community, a place where female founders can learn, collaborate, ask questions, gain visibility, work through challenges, and build meaningful relationships with women who understand this journey. We offer weekly live streams, lean in style conversations, group coaching, and a community designed to help you move forward without feeling like you're doing the hard things alone. If that sounds like the room you've been looking for, I'd love to welcome you in. You'll find the link to join the Innovate Launch VIP community in the show notes. And I really want to thank you for spending this time with me today. And remember, visibility is infrastructure, relationships are assets, and the right room might be the smartest investment you'll ever make in your business. I'm Suzette with Innovate Launch, inviting you into community with us because I see you, I support you, and I want you to be successful. So I'll see you on the inside. Take care.